do an invocation for us, and then we will say the pledge?
Sure. Father, we come before you, Lord, and I thank you for everybody that's here, and we just come to gather information about our county and the things that are going on. And Lord, we just want to honor you. We want to do what's right. We want our country to do what's right, and especially the community we live in, Lord. So we just ask that you would open our eyes and ears to what's going on, and that we would all just come together with information so that we know what is going on. So we just thank you, Lord. We praise you, and we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, do we have any, can we have a veteran volunteer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
We just start.
Okay, I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have to climb like a monkey. Okay, so it looks like we have some late comers coming, and that's good because the more of us that are here, the more information we have. We are going to be discussing a handful of things today. I need this for one of the. We're going to go over the ballot. Has anyone, do we have people here that are waiting for election? I always vote on election day. It's like a holiday for me. So we are going to go over the ballot, even though I know a lot of people have already done their early voting. Because that's helpful. All right, so we're going to just start with this. We've got, for our sample ballot, we've got United States Senate, and we've got, of course, Herschel Walker, Raphael Warnock, hello, and Chase Oliver as the Libertarian. Okay, and for governor, we've got Republican Brian Kemp, Democrat Stacey Abrams, and Libertarian Shane Hazel. For lieutenant governor, we have Republican Burt Jones, Democrat Charlie Bailey, and Libertarian Ryan Graham. And then we've got Secretary of State, of course, Raffensperger, B. Wynn, and Ted Metz. So I'm reading this as Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. We've got, for Attorney General, we've got Chris Carr, Jennifer Jen Jordan, and Martin Cohen. Commissioner of Agriculture, which I didn't even realize was important or was a thing until I took it upon myself to watch every single meeting and interview of Trump while he was in office, and I got to learn about what the Commissioner of Agriculture is, and that's pretty important. Tyler Harper, Nikita Hemingway, and David Radovow. Okay. And then we don't have a Libertarian running for Commissioner of Insurance. We've got John King and Janice Laws Robinson. John King, didn't he come speak to the GOP? I think I have a video of him, of John King, up on the channel, Voices of Union County. If you ever go to the Voices of Union County news channel and click playlists, you'll see it broken up into categories, and one of them is elected officials and people running. So the people that I'm able to catch, I put it up there. Okay, for state school superintendent, we've got Republican Richard Woods and Democrat Alicia Thomas Searcy. Commissioner of Labor, we've got Bruce Thompson, William Will Bodie Jr., and Emily Anderson is the Libertarian. And then no Libertarian for this one. United States House of Representatives District 9, we've got Andrew Clyde and Mike Ford. Okay, State Senate, Gooch. State House of Representatives District 8, we've got Stan Gunter and June, is it Chris? And then, of course, Jeff Langley is running unopposed for District Attorney, Anoda Judicial Circuit. County Board of Education, District 2, we've got Tony Hunter going up against Michelle Maloney. For County Board of Education, District 4, we've got Jason McCarter is running unopposed now. Also running unopposed is District 5, Patrick White is incumbent. And then for Blue Ridge Mountain Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor, we have incumbent Jennifer Logan running unopposed. Okay, so then we have 4 questions here, and I believe, are these the 4 questions that Gunter got up and spoke about in the
Yes.
GOP meeting?
Yeah.
I don't think I actually uploaded that, so I need to do that when I get home. Yeah, okay, so he went and he spoke about what all of these are, and they're basically different things about tax. Okay, so the first question is provides for suspension of compensation of certain state officers and members of the General Assembly. And so from my understanding of what Gunter said about that, is that basically the way that it is that if a state officer or a member of the General Assembly is accused and is going through investigation, they're still getting paid. So if they get found guilty, then of course everything happens after that. But this, from my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is to say that as soon as they're under investigation, their payment is halted. So that way if they are found guilty, then we haven't been paying them this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Which could be a good or a bad thing. I mean, if they are found not guilty, if it is a false charge for political reasons, then we have a good politician for the people that is being hurt.
I'm sure they'll get back pay.
Huh, that's interesting. You think?
I'm sure they'll get
Yeah.
back pay.
Yeah, they get back pay.
Well, that seems like a win-win then on this one.
Suspension without pay is not that uncommon.
Right. Okay, so I think that's what 1 is about. 2 says provides for temporary local tax relief after disasters. That's House Resolution number 594. Resolution Act number 803. Shall the Constitution of Georgia be amended so as to provide that the governing authority of each county, municipality, and consolidated government, and the Board of Education of each independent and county school system in this state shall be authorized to grant temporary tax relief to properties within its jurisdiction, which are severely damaged or destroyed as a result of a disaster and located within a nationally declared disaster area. I don't remember Gunter talking about this one. Does anyone have, see, sometimes these questions seem like, well, of course we want that to happen, but then there are things that we don't think about that would be the repercussions. Like, I love when you're here, Frank, because when we're talking about multi-housing, I feel very strongly, and then you talk, and I'm like, well, that made a lot of sense, what he just said. I like that.
I think he did talk about that. And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, I think so in other words, and if somebody else knows more what it means, correct me, but I think what it is if there's a natural disaster and your house is obliterated, okay, you still have to pay tax on that, even though you don't have a house, is what that came down to.
Local tax relief after disasters. Oh yeah, that's right, he did talk about that.
Yes, I think he did.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't think that that's a good thing. I think that they should, I mean, I don't know if you would then just pay tax on the land. He made it sound like they're still being asked to pay their house, property
'Cause it hasn't
taxes,
been
even though
assessed.
they don't have a house. Is that not right, Frank?
No, the way it works is whatever you have on there the first of the year, you're gonna pay taxes on for the year. But
Right, so if a storm comes
if it's
through,
gone, then the first of the year, the next year, it drops off. In other words, if it got blown away in July, you're still gonna pay until
Yes,
December,
yes.
but it'll drop off in January.
Okay. So this would say,
Right then
once
and there.
that happens, you wouldn't have to pay it that year? Is that what this?
It sounds like it's giving the local
I really don't
government
know what to
discretion.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and the school board.
Yeah, and if Lamar's still in power, I don't trust his discretion.
Mm-hmm.
or the
Right.
school board really for that
Yeah.
matter.
Okay, so you're saying this gives them discretion rather than making it a done deal?
Yeah, it's not a done deal, it's at their discretion.
Okay.
Oh, what would we rather see besides this question?
It's just an opportunity for corruption to me.
Huh, talk to me about that.
Hypothetically, if there's someone who, is an ally of a political power and they want to avoid taxes for the year or something, they could say, oh, my property was damaged, and then the discretion of the local government could say, oh yeah, your property was damaged, so you're suspended from having to pay taxes for it.
Whereas other people that they don't like so much
Might
not
not.
get that.
Yeah, I would suspect. I'm not saying that would happen, I'm just saying
Right.
that as a possibility.
But that has to be within a national, doesn't it have to be within a national,
Declared.
declared
national
area?
disaster.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's still at their
Yeah.
discretion.
right,
Properties within a jurisdiction which are severely damaged or destroyed as a result of a disaster located within a nationally declared disaster area. Would still be at their discretion. Huh, that's interesting.
But that would mean if a tornado come through here and went through downtown Blairsville, okay, the people that were damaged by that, wouldn't have to pay taxes that year. I mean, to me, you're gonna have enough problems, you know, because a lot of people don't either have enough insurance or don't have insurance to cover their, you know, their buildings or their property. As long as it's a national, you know, thing, then that kind of covers everything, you know, broadly. And then the state at this point, right now, doesn't have to give you a tax break. I mean, it could be like, you know, like you have it, like you said, in July, okay, well, you pay half the taxes maybe, okay, you know, that would be something that would be, you know, available, I guess. You wouldn't have to pay not all the taxes.
Right.
But still, a national emergency or a national disaster is a national disaster. And usually the feds come in and help. I mean, but they're only there temporarily.
This says temporary also. I'm wondering, is this something, so this isn't something that already is in place? We
No.
would have to pay it and then it would by the next, what is that, the assessment, I guess?
You would still, if you, at the next assessment, it would probably change. But,
It's a tricky
and you
one,
would just
huh?
pay on the property if your house wasn't there.
Because what you're saying, I don't know if you're like me, but I keep hearing the tag phrase legally over and over again. I have to go back and watch all these videos from time to time that I film, so I have a lot of information because I film them, I learn, and then I go back a year later and I go, oh wow, I get where this happened and that. But when we were talking about T-Splosh, before the T-Splosh vote, that word legally was used a lot, which seemed to mean that in that context, it was about how they can present something, go to the to the voters and say, please, please, please vote on this sales tax because we need, for example, the jailhouse. Oh, man, there's a whole video out there from 10 years ago of him pleading, how could you not want the jailhouse? We have people sleeping on the floor. And then a year later, he's mocking people, asking, why didn't you build the jailhouse with the tax money? But then he says, legally, I can do it this way. So that word is, has become very obvious to me that there are a lot of loopholes out there. However, we don't want to have to pay our taxes if our property's been demolished.
If there's inmates sleeping on the floor, why are we housing inmates from other counties? Or other
Actually, I
counties?
misspoke. I don't know that he said sleeping on the floor. He was talking about how he had them bunked up in the library. There's a
But I
video out there
noticed
from
in the
about 10 years
paper-
ago.
On the list, they'll be housing for another county.
Right.
Well, my understanding is that we have so many inmates that we're paying other counties to house our inmates.
And then other counties are paying us to house their inmates?
No, we're paying other counties to house
No,
ours.
but I mean, if you look in the paper, there'll be arrest and there'll be whatever the name and says housing for Fannin County or housing for Rayburn County.
Where?
Yeah, we are housing other
We are.
counties
Yeah.
prisoners.
Interesting. We never ended up using that tax money from that SPLOST for
I thought
that.
it said we were paying other counties to house ours.
Yeah, we
because
do. We
have
fly
Yeah,
them
that's what they say, but I know we are also housing inmates for other counties.
That's
from other
weird.
counties. Cause it's written in the paper, in the arrest record, if you look, and it'll have whatever.
Well,
and
that's
there'll
what the old shoe factory property was supposed to be for.
be, you know.
It still sits with busted windows and.
But we bought it
It'll be
with our tax
holding
money.
for that county.
I don't think
Okay.
people object to the fact that
Yeah.
people who are damaged or would get a tax break. I think
Discretion.
the discretion is what sticks in.
Now, at that, court, what do you call that? Court proceeding, when Zeb, Blanchard,
The
Mr.
hearing.
Blanchard, and versus the, Lamar Paris, was that last month or
Yeah.
2 months ago? That is uploaded on the channel to watch. There was one moment where the judge, he looked right at my camera. He looked right at my camera and said, it sounds to me, he said something to the effect of, it sounds to me that you're wanting, more, transparency, but you don't have that type of government here. You have, a sole commissioner which has vast discretionary powers, and he does not have to discuss those things before making those decisions.
Right.
So,
Unlawful.
yeah. Okay, well, let's move on, because I feel like we've done a good job, and we can figure out for ourselves which way we're gonna go with that. Honestly, I have no idea now. I'm so confused. Okay, so then provides for ad valorem, did I say that right? Thanks. Provides for ad valorem tax exemption for certain timber production, reforestation, and harvesting equipment. Okay, I'm gonna put a little thing so I don't forget. I've got to upload this video of Gunter at the GOP if I haven't already, because he discussed that, but what was really interesting is not only did he discuss these things, but then you could hear the rebuttals and the questions of the people in the audience, and just like hear, that's where all the information and intelligence comes from. And people did discuss that pretty thoroughly. I just don't remember. So it says, shall the act be approved which grants a statewide exemption from all ad valorem taxes for certain equipment used by timber producers in the production of harvest or timber? So that's something that sounds straightforward. It's their business stuff. It should be a tax write-off. But other people had very serious reasons why not, and I cannot remember what they were.
Well, what is it, do you guys know about that? Because here's what people have said to me. Well, if we say, no, don't tax them, the tax is gonna come from somewhere. So if we say no to them, who's gonna pay? Is it gonna be us then? So I don't know. This is what somebody raised to me the other day when this discussion was going on about those two questions, and the one after that also.
The one after that, it's very similar. It's talking about family-owned farms.
Right.
To add qualified products to the exemption. So I think the thing about that was it had to be where family-owned farms were linking up to become bigger, but then other people were concerned that was going to be like corporate tax breaks.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's something you're gonna have to think about.
Going back to that timber one, in the
Timber.
very first part of it, did you say for certain timber companies?
For certain equipment
Certain
used,
equipment,
used by timber producers in the production of production or harvest of timber. And then this one for the ad valorem tax exemption for family-owned farms and adds qualified products to the exemption. That's House Bill number 498. It says, shall the act be approved, which expands a statewide exemption from ad valorem taxes for agricultural equipment and certain farm products held by certain entities to include entities comprising 2 or more family-owned farm entities, and which adds dairy products and unfertilized eggs of poultry as qualified farm products with respect to such exemption.
There's already an ad valorem tax-free program for agriculture.
Yeah?
So then what is this about?
It's called the GATE,
It's called the gate, that's your sales tax.
Georgia Agriculture Tax Exemption.
Huh.
But what they wanted to do is they wanted to add for unfertilized eggs and milk. I don't know what the deal is there as far as whether they're in there now or what, because I have a gate card. And they've restricted that quite a bit, because everybody that had a garden used to get a gate card, you know, so they could
But
get.
it's for equipment, if you don't have
Yeah.
equipment, you get a tax break.
But people abuse it, they don't read it, like, you take your farm truck down to get, tires put on it, you can't use your gate card. Because that's not a farm piece of implement, that is if it's got tags on it, you can't use the gate card. If you have a trailer that hauls cattle or hay or whatever you have to put on that for tires, brakes, whatever, you can use your gate card on that.
Huh,
But if it's got tags on it, you can't use your gate card.
okay.
But they do.
Yeah.
As my understanding, one big change in 2 years ago was they now required you to file your IRS return.
You gotta have so
And
much
you had to
income.
have certain
Yeah.
income.
You have to have $5,000.
If you don't have
Sales.
income of 5,000, what is it?
Yeah,
Something like
5,000,
that.
yeah.
And you also have to show your income tax return
Right,
to
Wow.
get that.
yeah, and you have to pay for it as well now,
Yeah.
too.
Huh.
Now, my girlfriend, she raises goats, okay, and she sells milk and everything, and I asked her about that amendment. And so she asked her lawyer, and her lawyer said, they sent me the whole thing, remember, I sent
whole
it to you?
bill?
The whole bill, she sent me the whole bill. And the lawyer said, well, it seems like it's a good thing.
Interesting.
But it's two or more families combined, so what about the small farmer, you know?
Right.
That doesn't seem fair.
I vaguely remember Gunter saying something about families that aren't doing so well on their own can team up to be a bigger thing.
Yeah,
Really gotta get that uploaded.
that's been going on for years, and there's no restriction on gate cards
For that,
for
they
that.
would still have that.
Yeah, you can still use your gate card,
Hmm.
and you can still get a gate card for a company, as long as it's agricultural company.
It used to be so easy to vote for things that just sounded like a good idea.
I know, the
And
way
now
they
I'm so
word these
jaded.
things,
They make
it's
it
so
sound-
confusing,
yeah, they
like,
make it
I don't know if it's yes or no.
To vote for us, so not to, you know,
Well,
therefore.
that sounds too good. What am I missing there? I don't know about that one.
You see, it all goes back to all that, goes back to tax money.
Right, right.
And nobody says anything about reducing spending.
Thank you. Thank you, yes.
So when they have these meetings that you're talking about, that he's presented these to the people, and people have come back with concerns, where is that? Like, how did you know about it?
Okay, it was at the GOP meeting. He went and spoke. I wasn't at the last
Oh,
one.
on the Saturday that he came?
Yeah, but he was
Oh.
he was very wishy-washy in it. He did not really, like, some people would seem like they were concerned or asking a question, and he was like, well,
Well, that's what
You
I
know,
mean, like, how,
he
like,
doesn't,
so what is the process of coming up with these, and who comes up with them, and how do they decide it's gonna be put on the ballot, and like,
We
how
really
does it
we need like a
get from A
nationwide
to B?
civics class, just starting from square one,
I'm just curious, yeah.
all over again, you know? Because I know
I
that
had
I
no
took that
idea.
class as a kid. I know I had to have.
I'm pretty sure that amendments were generated in
he
the
did?
government.
At the state capitol,
Yeah,
I'm
state
guessing.
capitol, yeah,
I don't
and
understand.
it's
Right.
through,
But is there no public forum to invite the public to
Well, that's how
discuss?
we're a republic.
yeah.
So you're supposed to elect people that actually represent you. But that's the thing.
Hmm.
You cannot elect someone to represent you if you don't even know what's going on. You know, if people don't show up and know what's going on, then how
Like this
can they?
Andrew guy, like who has seen him at all?
Who?
Andrew
Clyde? I have spoken with
I
him
haven't
once.
seen him. Is he?
He's good, yeah.
He came to the GOP meeting.
I've seen him at a couple of GOP meetings, and I actually went to the state like GOP
Wow,
a couple years ago, and I was not really that impressed.
yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I just wonder, like, it doesn't seem like these people come into the community all that much.
He does.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
he?
I get a newsletter from him, I mean, he's just all over the area, visiting different businesses, farms, and talking with the people.
Maybe I need to look into that.
Clyde seems like the one person that, from what I've seen, that does that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
Let me get this back to you before I forget.
right,
And one-
yeah, with the taxes and all that, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he does a lot of
Doug
traveling
Collins helped
in
me
the
really.
community.
Yeah, Emma.
I think I'll do that, I did Doug.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what happened to Doug? He just
He
like,
got
just
his
decided
ambition.
not to,
They
okay,
tried to run for Senate.
Okay.
well, that I know,
Yeah,
but he's never come, he's always like
He's disappeared.
doing interviews, but he's never,
He's a minister.
Okay, so I'm a little bit like, la 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 today, and I apologize for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch gears now, because we wanna cover all of these things in the smallest amount of time possible, because we have a tendency to go on, because there's so much to talk about. Let's go ahead and talk about the 580 acres that were just purchased. What was it, front page of the newspaper, and I didn't get a chance to read the article yet, because I just grabbed it on my way here.
I saw it too.
Yeah, so I did see that the hospital just got $7 million for that,
Yeah.
so,
Profit,
No,
7 million.
profit.
profit,
Yeah.
that's
Over
right.
the original purchase price,
9.5 or
which was
something like
9
that.
point something or other, and then they
Six.
sold it for 9.5, but they owed 2.5 on it or something.
So this whole property thing has been a real puzzle for my brain to understand. Is this property, this ginormous hunk of land wrapped around
The house.
Yeah.
the
house.
is
Yeah.
that a 3 acre house?
Yes.
Okay,
That's crazy.
So for the sake of people that might listen to this at home that have no idea what this is, and for the sake of me trying to make sure I know what I'm talking about, let me know if I got this right. So there was a Pills in the Hills situation, I think that's what they called it in the
Pills
news,
in the-
right? I think that's what they called it in the news, Pills in the Hills, where the
Yeah.
director of the hospital,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Gowder,
Yeah.
got caught along with another doctor running a pills scheme, and he got himself in trouble,
In jail.
and so then he and his brother, I think, owned this property.
He owned it, not his brother.
He owned the property and sold it to a fellow whose name every time I ask, it just goes right out, I lose it. Sold it to a guy for some money,
A builder,
and it was for somewhere like 300,000, is that right?
something very
And,
small.
and then 6 months later, the county came in and bought that same property for like almost twice as much,
750.
for $750. Yeah, within 6 months. So that was a huge price increase on this 3 acres that has a house. Wow, so we paid $750 for 3 acres, first of all, what? Second of all, it has a house that a woman lives in with a life estate, so we can't even use it
Right,
until she
guys,
is deceased,
yes.
right? And meanwhile, there has been questions, I've heard some citizens questioning quite strongly, who owns the insurance? If something happens, is the county
Yeah.
responsible even though we don't get to use that property? So there's this 3 acres that the county for some reason decided was a great use, our commissioner is responsible for buying property for us. So our commissioner thought this would be a great use of our tax money to buy this property for a ridiculous increase, over $300,000 within 6 months of purchase, that we can't even use because there's a life estate on it. Meanwhile, this 580 acres wraps around that property and has just been there this whole time, and it just got sold. Am I right on all
Yeah.
that? Sorry. What a weird story, everybody. Yes, you gotta start that story with there's this Pills in the Hill situation. I mean, it's just, cause it's like a book, you can write that. Who bought it? I don't have any information on this.
So
It's a Payne family. This is
Payne
corporation.
family. And it's Hanger One Investors LLC. So Cody Payne, who is part of Atlantic Digital Cable,
Okay.
his LLC bought it.
Is he like on the show or he owns the channel?
No, ADC.
No, it's Atlantic Digital
It's a
Cable over by the airport, a big cable.
Okay.
It's called Advanced.
Advanced Digital, I'm sorry, Advanced Digital Cable.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I wonder what it's gonna be used for.
They
I don't
can
know.
take 30 acres of it and put affordable housing.
Yes.
Oh,
And
Tiny-
supposedly the
tiny
rest of
homes.
it, they're gonna keep for
As a
farm
farm.
and conservation.
Section 8, they're gonna be bringing in
Did
more
they say section 8?
8.
They don't say that
That's what
anymore because
affordable-
that's not
They're
politically
saying
correct.
affordable housing now, so it doesn't sound like section 8.
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
I mean, couldn't affordable housing also be apartments that people can afford?
For the elderly
Or like
or
tiny houses
veterans.
that you could afford.
Yeah.
No, they're just bringing in,
Section 8.
what it is the big cities can't afford to take care of all the poor people anymore, so they're dispersing them all over the, Georgia.
Because the tax base is moving out.
But they're making us all poor people already, like,
We have to take care of them.
Is that a
Well,
problem?
He
I
claims,
mean, my goodness.
he claims that,
Who's he?
Cody Payne,
Oh,
the one that is buying it. He's saying that, and he said in the article that he can't keep, employees in his business because there's no affordable housing here for them to live in.
Mm.
That was specifically said in the article.
I mean, that's a valid point.
Is he only
That's a
paying
lot.
$6 an hour?
I don't know what he's.
Yeah,
That's
because
ridiculous.
listen, there is work all over this county and not one available job in the county would pay my living expenses, and that's not including groceries.
Yeah.
That's just the mortgage and bills.
He says, here's what he says, advanced digital cable and some of the other businesses in town have trouble attracting and retaining employees due to the inflated cost of housing in the region. So if we can do something to contribute to providing some affordable housing for the community, we're all in.
that's also because they discriminate against age when they hire.
Well, to me, that, it goes back to one basic question, which I don't fully understand, is let's look at the hospital authority money versus county money versus Gallagher money.
Yeah.
That's where it's all intertwined.
Yes.
And you gotta break that out. Gallagher bought this home and was a personal ownership, but what was the relationship with that, with his plans for the hospital authority?
Right.
He was the CEO at the time. Then that goes defunct. The county buys Gallagher's place for the money you're talking about, but what about all this other land that Gallagher had plans of purchasing as a hospital authority? And so where's the county money? Where's our tax money is your question.
Well, if you,
Versus
Yeah.
a private enterprise, the hospital authority, which a lot of people misunderstand and think the hospital authority is our county. It's
Well,
not.
in my opinion, if you read this whole article, they lay it out really nice, and it sounds really great, but I am not a trusting person in this county.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, and so they make it sound like it's all roses. I mean, this guy, so Union General CEO Kevin Bierschnick, or whatever his name is, said these plans resonated with the hospital's board members who wanted to maintain the rural integrity of the area and did not wish to see any major corporations or developments on the property. So they make it sound like, you know, we're gonna come in, and they said something about they wanted to keep, the reason that Lamar is now going to sell the property, he is going to, the county, we taxpayers, because we own that, he is going to take that property and he is going to sell it back to Cody Payne as the part of the whole deal, because they don't want to see, I forget how he words it in here, they didn't want to see it, as previously reported, situated in the middle of the large property is the 3.3 acre parcel bought by Union County government for $750,000 in 2020. The parcel was coming on the market, and sole commissioner Lamar Bears authorized the purchase with the idea of holding on to it to keep the overall property unified so as not to diminish Union General's holding. When you read this article, to me, they start to tie the whole thing in that, look at how this all worked out, everything is great, isn't this great?
So we're getting our
And
money back?
And
Where's
it's
it
gonna
any
go
money?
somewhere.
Well,
And it was taken off the tax, digest. That property doesn't have to pay taxes now, they don't
I
have to
think
pay
that-
they
property
never
taxes.
have paid them.
Since the county owns
I
them.
think they corrected that.
So it says, at the time, Paris pledged to either sell the parcel to the hospital, should it decide to develop its property, or sell the parcel to whoever bought the larger property from the hospital, with a goal of eventually recouping the county's costs while protecting the hospital's investment.
So is that basically letting us know that there was no good reason to own that property in the first place?
In my opinion,
And-
that was bought because it's all this stuff. I mean, Gowder was in trouble. I heard that property was bought for that amount because it paid for a lot of his attorney fees when he was in trouble. This
Yeah.
is what I heard, I don't know, but I'm just saying, it's all tied in. It's all
I think
tied
the
in.
hospital owned that farm when he owned the house.
Mhm.
That was all at the
Yeah.
same time.
So did they say what it's being sold to Cody for?
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Union County is very proud that the Hill property sale by the hospital has been consummated. Paris said, "We are also pleased with the company that has purchased the property, as we feel they will protect the area with the proper use of this incredible farm. And we'll be working with the farm purchaser to include the sale of the small tract owned by the county. The county made a commitment to those who were bidding on the property that we would include the old home place for sale to them at the price we paid for it."
Old home place?
Yeah, well, that's
It's
the
a
hill
big
place.
mansion.
Yeah.
The
Well, there's a
county
log
owned
cabin
parcel,
out there.
the county owned parcel consists of the life estate for Jackie Hill, one of its former owners, and while not ideal for Hangar One, Payne said that such an arrangement was not a deal breaker for him, and adding that the company is glad to have the option of purchasing the smaller property.
So the option.
Right. I'm really interested to find out when things like that happen, where does all of that extra money go to when it's, I mean, does it go to the county then getting to figure out how they're gonna get to spend that much money in excess of everything else? Or does it go back to us taxpayers via, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's the thing, where is that money gonna go? So when the county takes back that money, is it gonna go in the general fund? I mean, where is it gonna go? It's part of his slush fund. Why doesn't he take that money and give everybody a rebate or
That's
a
what should
tax
happen.
refund?
I mean, in my opinion, that's what should happen. Cause
I
that
mean,
makes sense mathematically. We
What fund
paid
did
it.
it come out of?
I don't know that. But I don't think we know any of that, because every time, it's a shell game.
Yeah.
That's why, if you wanna know anything, the only way you're gonna know is to do an open records request and get it, because none of this is made known to the public when these deals are made and when things are done. That's serious. None of us know that, which is why we're petitioning for, we need a voice in the county, which means not one person making all those decisions.
Now, having a multi-commissioner board, people, I hear a lot of different things about it. My strong feeling about that is that it's a fantastic opportunity to have representation, but it absolutely will not work if the people don't, like I said, show up and know what's going on so that they know how to be represented. I feel like if we had a town hall meeting quarterly in every district,
Yes.
then the people show up and they discuss, and then have your own handful of people that can be your representatives from that district go to the commissioner meeting, and then we need to make sure that our commissioners are open to hearing what they have to say, because that's how a republic works. A republic works by representation, and lately there's been so much animosity towards citizens showing up to let their voices be heard, and I feel like everybody needs to remember that that's how it's supposed to work. But it doesn't work if you don't know what's going on. You've gotta be educated, and you've gotta have, I have a lot of smart friends that I ask questions of, because I'm very curious, and I obviously don't know all of the things. But it's really important. It's really important that we know what's going on and that we have representation. And the way that it is right now, all of these decisions are made behind closed doors. I mean, this was never discussed at a meeting. All of a sudden, they're gonna sell that property back. We might hear about it at the next county meeting as a quick blip on the meeting minute, or on the agenda saying, approved, moving on. But if you have a board, then of course those things have to be done publicly and the people are there. Like, we just saw, and we were discussing before this meeting about how in Cherokee County, the people are showing up in droves at their commissioner meeting. And something really interesting, at their commissioner meeting, they have a thing where you just sign up, I guess when you get there, you sign up on a list to speak and you get 3 minutes, it's just like that. You don't have to.
Cherokee, Georgia?
Yeah, no,
Cherokee
Murphy.
County, right here, Murphy.
Oh, Murphy.
North
That's
Carolina.
North Carolina.
Well, that's North Carolina.
I know, but it would be, I mean,
Should work the same here too.
if we had that.
Yeah, no, here we're only allowed to ask a question if he decides that he's taking questions. We're only allowed to ask a question about something on the agenda, so he has control over what you're allowed to ask questions about. And then they can speak over you if they don't find that your question is
Even though we don't really follow it, but.
important. Well, I mean, he has Mercer, he has the
Yeah.
attorney can, control that whole thing. So,
Deputy sheriffs.
yeah, and the deputies, that's right, yes.
So I was wondering, how is that petition going?
Oh, we're gonna get to,
Oh, you're gonna get to that? I'm sorry.
yeah, let's get to that, and, no, well, actually, no, that's a great transition, let's do that, because that's natural, that actually just happened naturally. So let's do that, and then we'll get to this, what I was gonna bring up.
So the petition is going really well, right?
Absolutely.
We've been at the courthouse every day from 9 to 5 for early voting. And it's been a honey hole as far as getting signatures. It's really, we've got,
So you think most people are,
oh yeah, it's just getting to the people are out there that want this. Of course, there's a lot of people that don't.
I was gonna say,
People
there are a
ride
lot of
by
people
and they
that
do
don't.
like this, and it's like, okay, fine, don't vote then. But anyway, it's going really well. We're over halfway, and I'll be curious to see after
and you need
Tuesday.
how many to get to what?
I'm thinking we
7,500?
need at least 4,200,
For
but
what? For it to be brought up,
to put it on the to get the referendum on the ballot. But we need to get at least 45 or maybe more, because I just don't trust the stroking off of this isn't good, that's not good, for whatever reason. they might come up with.
Who's giving you the magic number and who do you give it to?
Well, it's 20%
Of the
of
registered
the
voters.
voting
Oh.
electorate.
Now, our voter rolls are highly inflated, lots of people that do or don't exist, or,
Yeah, they haven't really cleaned them up that
and it
well.
hasn't been cleaned up, so that's kind of a question, if we were able to get that voter roll cleaned up, what would the number actually be that would be 20%?
Well, I just got a copy of the new voter roll, I just got it this week, because everybody was like, oh,
They cleaned it up?
No, they didn't
No.
clean it up, they just
Oh.
added the new voters, but that's what we have to go by.
Oh, so it's more
there
now?
was like almost 800 people that registered to vote between February and now for this election.
Oh, man,
So that made our number go up.
160 more, did I do that right, is that 20%? 800?
Yeah.
Yeah,
800?
yeah,
People
160.
are dying to get on those
Almost
rolls.
800.
Yeah,
That's what, one of our, we have quite a few people that are typically here that are not right now, and I kind of rely on all of your faces for all of the information, but there's this one gentleman, Dean, that has so much knowledge on all of those things, and he was the one looking into that, and he found that a lot of them either were addresses that didn't exist, or people that are no longer alive, and, people that don't live here at all, so, yeah.
Well, so just to recap or finish that, so we're hoping that next year, we'll have a special election and get it on the ballot, let everybody vote. And then if it's voted in, at that point, we can start to, people will come forward as who wants to run in their district. And then, let those people like campaign or whatever, and then put it on the ballot, those people would be on the ballot then for 2024, because that's when the commissioner's seat is up anyway.
2024.
This is interesting. Y'all know Wesley, and he worked some figures up. There were like 6,100 people that voted so far, not including tomorrow, because we don't know yet. But he took mathematically and figured out how many we got each day and added them all up. And he came up with a percentage of, he says, Ruth, 30% of the people that came here are walking up to us wanting to sign that petition.
Wow. And
That's
those are just the
fabulous.
ones, I
That's
heard,
impressive.
I overheard that some people are afraid to sign it because then the names will be seen when they're taken in to have the signatures verified, and they're afraid to have their name on it because of their business.
I don't think the names are gonna be seen, but there are people that have said, I would love to sign that, but I can't,
Right,
for fear of retaliation.
right.
Whether they're county people, school people, you know, whatever, businesses, some small businesses.
I heard the same thing about why people don't run against Commissioner Paris, because when it's one-on-one, it's scary and it's a retaliation situation. So I feel like if we had 5 people running against each other, then that would be largely removed. I mean,
Yes.
because you can't really take it personally at that point. That's so heavy.
I think what's gonna happen is when it gets on the ballot, because it will get on the ballot, when it gets on the ballot and when it passes, which I believe it will, because I think all those people that are saying that they, for fear of retaliation, that will not sign it, I can guarantee you that they'll be in that booth voting yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and so when that happens, I mean, I think it's gonna be overwhelmingly voted in as yes, because nobody's gonna know at that point whether they're voting yes or no, or who voted yes or no.
Right. If all of that is true and that it really isn't, like, people are afraid, I feel also then that would suggest that there are people in the county that would feel a sense of liberation.
Yes.
That are under thumb at this point, so.
I've had people sign it that say, like the husband would sign and he was like, oh, well, my wife's a teacher, she can't sign that.
Right.
So they're not closely related?
I mean, but he felt like he could, because he doesn't work for the school, but she does.
Yeah, well.
She wouldn't come forward and sign,
Right.
but he did. I mean,
Okay.
I think that's terrible, personally.
It is. It is terrible. It's terrible because the whole reason, I don't know if y'all know this, but I have spent most of my life avoiding politics, because my thing is, when I say I'm a behavior specialist, what it is really for me is a self-awareness situation of being able to see all of the lies and dishonesty and manipulation, to see all the people that has been working on, you know, and to go, okay, this is all sick and crazy, so I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna do my little thing, and I'm just gonna let everybody be crazy over there and do this negative thing they're doing, but now I'm a mom and I own a house. So having people who use manipulation and deceit to then claim some sort of authority to force their will upon me is gonna make me be present, to show up, to say, no, that will not happen. But I much more enjoy doing other things, you know, but we're all here because it's situational now. It is really sad though that, you know, to live in a community where your sovereign soul cannot speak freely out of fear of retaliation, and when you're not even saying ugly things, you're just being honest. It's very unfortunate, and hopefully that can be changed. Okay, I'm gonna move on now that I made that very somber. Let's go talk about the, is it D-dot? D-O?
G-dot.
Thank you, I knew I was saying that backwards, G-dot. Okay, so I didn't get to go to the G-dot walkthrough event, meeting that happened. It was 2 Thursdays ago, right before the commissioner meeting. I was not able to attend, and I feel like I missed some really good stuff. I thought it was just a walkthrough where there were gonna be pictures, but it turns out the guy was actually interacting with the groups and answering questions.
They had like 20 people there from G-dot.
Really?
Walking around answering people's questions. And it was they just did put up like, they had like these they had easels with like, so they had like a big thing like this with the pictures, and it started like from Blue Ridge and went to Ivy Log, and then this side was the same thing, Ivy Log to Blue Ridge. So you got to see it, like you could walk up and down and look at what it was gonna be doing.
It was like aerial photos.
Yeah, it was interesting because the photos that they had, to me, seemed very old. like, they had the Cott beverage plant. How long has the Cott beverage plant been gone? That was what the photo was. Isn't that the panel bill place? Isn't that where the Cott beverage place
For a
is?
long time.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
so like, cause I live that way, so I'm looking and I'm like, where's our house on this thing? Like, where, on the picture, is it gonna be, you know, is it gonna be 3-lane bus, 4-lane, whatever? And then all of a sudden I'm looking and I'm like, Cott beverage off of Monty.
Where were we where someone was
So I don't
talking
know why
about
the pictures
how,
are so old.
how Murphy is also
seemed
going to
weird.
be,
The
I think it's
planning
like-
started that far. I mean, Panel Belt hasn't been there that long.
It's been there over 4 years.
Yeah, a few years now.
who was it that, where were we where somebody was talking about how Murphy was going to be, or North Carolina, I think they said Murphy was gonna be paying part of it. So they're gonna be developing their end, and then we would be developing our end. Oh, that might have been,
That lady,
where are all of our people?
that lady that
Yeah, all
goes
my
to
experts,
the,
what happened?
to the 8-person
Yeah,
behind the scenes.
she was the one telling us
planning.
about that. Yeah, so we have a citizen that goes to all these planning meetings, and it's at 9 o'clock in the morning, and, oh.
She's like the only one that.
I appreciate that so much, because I do not wanna go at 9 in the morning. I go to all these meetings and they're not fun, you know?
Yeah, but this only goes to Ivy Log. It goes from Old Blue Ridge Street to Ivy Log, 325, Ivy Log Road.
Okay,
So, I don't know about North Carolina,
coming down
but
that
that's still
far.
Georgia past that.
And so there's some so I don't have information on this. What do you know about, they were talking about 3 lanes and 4 lanes. Did you go, Ruth, to that meeting?
I did,
Okay.
and my experience there was really nice. Like, I saw the map, and I'm looking at where Mountain View Funeral Home is, Save-A-Lot. 129, if you would go to the light, would be Kentucky Fried Chicken. So I'm looking at that Save-A-Lot, Dollar General, that congested, you come out of Mountain View where the dentist office is. Does everybody know where that is? Okay, but I live there, and I've lived through the traffic now, and the potential accidents that could happen there. A friend of mine was killed there on his motorcycle. So anyhow, I had a lot in my head, because to get to Dollar General, you pull out of Wesley Mountain Drive, you have to go into the main road, and 1 second later, like, turn your wheel, you're already back into the parking lot. So anyhow, I addressed a lot of that. A lot of it, he took notes on and put it on the board, because it's dangerous. They come out of Kentucky Fried Chicken and they want to go to Murphy, so they go into the fast lane
worst,
on the
isn't
right.
it?
There's 3 lanes there now. Then you have that suicide lane in the middle.
Right.
Well, if you want to come out of Save-A-Lot, you wait your turn and jump into that suicide lane, but someone does that, but he has no intention of staying in the suicide lane and stopping and make a left on Wesley Mountain Drive, which was, we wait till we get past that Save-A-Lot where you come out, so we can make our little left into Wesley Mountain Drive. There's like 50 feet there. But this guy comes in and stops because he don't want to make the left. He wants to get in that other lane. Well, why didn't he wait till there was an opening? But
Weren't you,
so anyhow, this guy took all those notes down.
well, that's good.
And then, yeah, and he said to me that, he told me what to write on my comment sheet. And he said, some of those things are going to be fixed by that 4-way thing, the 4-way lanes.
Okay, so from, I think what it is from, so it starts at Old Blue Ridge, and if my understanding is correct, Old Blue Ridge is not going to be, so we're talking about down by Brasstown Pharmacy, that 4-way stop, that is gonna become a roundabout.
Yes.
And then my understanding is it's gonna be 4-lane from the 515, 4 lanes between the 515 to Pat Caldwell. So that's what's gonna take care of all that bottleneck traffic when you're coming into town from on the 129. like from Pat Caldwell, how that backs up. I mean, it backs up now from the Kentucky Fried Chicken light all the way to Save a Lot. I mean, it's
Yeah.
bumper to bumper. So from the 515 to Pat Caldwell is gonna be 4 lanes.
Mhm.
But then from the Pat Caldwell out, and I think Pat Caldwell is gonna be a roundabout. And then from Pat Caldwell out to Ivy Log is gonna be the 3 lanes with, it's gonna still be 2 lane, but it's gonna be 3 lanes. We're gonna make those turn lanes, I think is what it said. So the 4 lane is only gonna be from the 515 to Pat Caldwell. And then it's gonna be 3 lanes out to the Ivy Log. There's gonna be 4 roundabouts.
So there was
In between Ivy Log and Old Blue Ridge. 4
Oh
I
roundabouts.
hate roundabouts.
Well, people were there was a guy that was very heated, and he was like, roundabouts are gonna create accidents, they're not gonna fix accidents because people don't know how to drive in a roundabout.
Well, it also makes you.
I mean, he was
it would
very
slow
adamant
traffic
about,
down, right?
yeah.
That would make it.
Well, look at the
Well, that's
joke
what they
down,
want.
look at the joke down on 515, where 325 starts out.
Yeah, I know.
That is the word, that did not solve
It
the
did not.
poor girl, we know her parents. That would have never solved that problem.
Well, you can still make a left there, and that's
Because
why the
you got,
accident.
coming from Blue Ridge, you can make a left, and
Yes.
that's what happened.
Yes.
It was accident, not knowing how to drive, not looking, whatever. That left-hand turn is still there. And the left-hand turn going the other way is still there from the center lane.
So, you know what, this actually says about the roundabouts, it says the state has opted to install additional roundabouts along the project corridor, including at the intersections of Pat Harrelson, Pat Caldwell, Pleasant Hill Road, and Gumlog. Those are all gonna be roundabouts.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's a
this
lot.
thing,
That's a
this
lot of
thing
money.
is slated, it is slated to start in 2028, and it is to finish in 2051.
What?
Now, most of us in this room ain't gonna be here. Okay,
Oh
so
my
I'm just saying, I don't personally, I don't understand how a lot of this does solve the problem. They talked about crashes and how it's gonna solve a lot of those problems. I don't know, but here's what got me. There's gonna be 290 parcels,
Oh, taken? Eminent domain?
and I asked that
Oh,
question,
that's
I said,
right.
so if these people don't want, what if they don't, because he said, so here's what happened, they come in and they evaluate the property or whatever, and then they say, here's how much we're gonna give you for your house.
Period.
Well, what if you don't wanna sell it for that?
Yeah.
I said, does that mean that at that point it's eminent domain? He said
Yes.
yes.
And the businesses, they
That's
said
what
they
they
would
did on
relocate.
515 toward Young Harris from Blairsville. I knew someone there that owned Sleepy Hollow. They just did exactly what she described.
Well, it says this exactly. Those impacted most by the widening and reconstruction are property owners along the project corridor. So far, 290 parcels have been marked for acquisition to complete the project, with 62 building displacements.
Didn't they just do that going towards towns? I know, my uncle had to give up his tool shed, I think is what he said.
Yes, because people were saying, you know, the Sleepy Hollow, there were people at this that were upset because they're like, that's what they're doing on the going to Young Harris. They came in and they're gonna take all those properties and just people have to find, in Sleepy Hollow, that Sleepy Hollow place is one of them.
Yeah, and she doesn't have, they can't move their things, their business back because they don't have the depth in their property.
Right.
So they have no option. She said, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's a
That's
mother
sad.
and a son.
Well, they're gonna lose that because.
And then the other one that's interesting to me is by the theater that they put in, you guys know on 515, there's a furniture store there that,
Jerry's or.
yeah, when I said, well, when they widen, where's your, and she says, see that telephone pole? The road's gonna come right to that telephone pole, and she's got a driveway, and that is just enough room for cars to pull in there. But all of that is gone, but she's staying. That's an old place that's gonna be renovated, but
Wow.
it's a,
I feel like you should be given more than baseline figures if you're not making the choice to give up your property. My property has a ridiculous amount of sentimental value. I would be very upset about it.
Cause when these places were built, it was, when we first started coming up here, coming into Hiwassee, you had to stop at the bridge and wait till you got a green light, because it was a one lane, you know, going across that bridge there. That was it. I mean, I said a state highway with a bridge only 8 feet wide. I mean, you know, but of course they've done it, you know,
Well, there's
redid
still time to protest this? I mean, they're not gonna start until
Well,
2000.
No,
28.
okay, so you have until November the 4th to put your comments in. So I said to the people that were standing there, right, I said to the people that were standing there, or the guy that came over to answer some questions, I said to him, so is this a done deal? Or, I mean, are you just here to make us feel good if we're asking you questions and you're giving us answers? I mean, is this a done deal? And we have no say, right? We have no say in this. And he's like, and they went, oh no, you can submit your comments and your questions and your concerns by November the 4th, and we welcome all of them. We want you to do that. And then they were like, oh no, because the one girl goes, well, if we had a lot of people that were just like against this and didn't think that it was, you know, in concerns and whatever, she said, well, it might not go through then. And I thought to myself, oh, please.
Who do you contact? No, I'm gonna, I mean.
Well,
for the sake
you
of
can
people
go on,
looking
there's
at
a
it.
website, let me see. Because you could get your form when you were there, or you can go online and do it.
It's
And
cheap
people were
off.
sitting at those tables, writing
Right.
stuff out. There were a lot of people there that were not happy.
So what are they gonna
Because
do?
once again, were we did we have a say in any of this?
Do we have an agreement with North Carolina? Cause if not, it's gonna be an awful small funnel.
Right.
'Cause when you cross over that line in North Carolina, you gotta pull your mirrors in.
I don't know anything about North Carolina being involved in any of it, really. I mean,
Well, I
it
mean,
doesn't say.
you know, they didn't say anything about that, cause it's
Well,
gonna
they've
be.
been surveying that road, I know for sure.
We've surveyed it,
Oh,
so
yeah.
they may have plans, I mean,
Yeah,
you know, it'd be nice if it was 4-laned all the way to,
Yeah, there you can go online
Highway
right
64.
here and put your comments. It says those who commented will receive a response letter 30 days later.
Was that in this week's paper?
This was October 26th.
Okay.
last week's.
Okay. Did you have something about that you wanted to say? No? Okay.
And the road's gonna be torn up for 30 years?
That's crazy.
And it's $140 million, by the way.
didn't
Oh,
they
my
divide it
gosh.
into 3 projects,
3 phases.
3 phases?
That's a lot.
What about the
gonna
roundabout?
pass
Well,
this.
the Circle K, they'd have to relocate gas tanks and everything.
Oh,
That's an environmental thing.
well, that whole section there,
I'm pretty sure that's where they said that it was gonna start, was there.
absolutely, I heard that too.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
That's serious when they start messing with gas tanks.
But I have to tell you, this is interesting to me. I come out of 129, like I was coming from Murphy, you know, the light by Kentucky Fried Chicken. Well, I finally took me 4 lights, because you're watching this traffic 4 times to get to there. Well, in front of me is 2 cars. And I'm gonna go straight through. I'm not making a left or a right, but I'm gonna go past McDonald's and go right to where Old Blue Ridge is and make my left there. Well, I thought, only 2 cars in front of me, oh good. Well, the first car went through, the second car got stuck because the green light said go, but all the cars were backed up from Walgreens, where the drug and gun is, all the way back to the highway.
yeah.
So nobody could get in.
So that's
Yeah,
why
so
they
you
go
can't
around.
pull over because you're gonna wind up out in traffic. You're gonna be in traffic
The
when
guy
the
in
light
front of me
turns
was
green for 5:15 to go east.
So it's getting, it's not like it used to be even, I've been here 15 years and it wasn't like that before.
No.
So it says the second phase will consist of installing a roundabout at Murphy Highway and Blue Ridge Street. Isn't that where that is?
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that 4-way
Did they
stop?
call it a roundabout?
It's
Because there's really only three,
There's
It
not much room
it's a
there.
T, but isn't that
Right.
it, that stop sign where
yeah,
Okay.
the four-way stop?
that's
Yeah.
where the gas station that you mentioned is.
They'll have to relocate that
They're
gas
gonna
station.
install a
and everything.
roundabout,
That's
right?
what
Environmental.
they're probably gonna be displaced. I mean,
That's not a problem.
how do you have a gas
That's
station
not
there
a
with a
problem.
roundabout?
We're gonna,
Take a time out, I'm gonna pass this, will y'all pass this just like from one to another around the room, so we can try to get
There were,
the room?
yeah.
rental? Here,
It's
just
probably gonna be
pass it from
displaced.
one to the
That gas
other.
station.
Oh, they'll have to tear all that
Just
down,
pass it around.
unless they're gonna only let, compact cars go around.
I don't know.
Man, there are so many situations where there are pros and cons. I mean, the fact that, what you're reporting, Ruth, about the traffic makes it seem like there's definitely something needs to be done. It's really, really sad, the idea of
My
displacing
young man,
businesses, though.
that's one of the things I brought up. My young man there said, I think that it will be taken care of by what we've already got in the works. So he was addressing it. I'm not sure if he's right or wrong, but there were things that they hadn't thought about, and that's where he was making the stickers and putting, he says, no, I'm gonna take care of that and bring that up. So there were like 5 things I had, but that's exactly the spot.
Yeah,
But he thought what they were doing there would take care of that issue, and he knew, because I told him, the light's green and you can't go. You can't go because
sometimes,
it's,
right.
Well, roundabouts don't
Just
solve
set that back
anything,
there,
they make
Ruth.
it worse, in my opinion.
Okay, so, all right, we're gonna switch to one more topic. It's gonna be really, really fast, and then we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Because there's not a lot of information on this, but some of you, from when we first started having these meetings, might remember me talking about the Green New Deal and how I had linked different things. I have this brain that remembers an article I read 5 years ago with something I just read and like this. So a handful of months ago, the TVA, which is the Tennessee Valley Authority, and they run our electric and a bunch of other stuff for a vast region of the Tennessee Valley, including Alabama. It's just a giant area. And so apparently, I didn't know this. Well, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the TVA a handful of months ago put out an article, it was this tiny little thing in the paper, but because I remember things, it was a red alert to me where they were talking about how excited they were to bring the energy of the future to the farmers of Georgia. Now, I remembered a couple of years ago when I was investigating Indivisible, which, by the way, Hillary Clinton is urging everyone to join Indivisible right now. Well, Indivisible I know about because a couple of 3 years ago now, I had discovered that they were running this county, this town where I lived in Texas, and that's a whole other story, but it's very dark. But they are a Communist Party group. So if you go to the Communist Party USA, I can't believe that exists, like right there in black and white, but it does. They have a website, cpusa.com. And if you go to that and you type into the search bar Indivisible, all these articles show up where they're telling you to join Indivisible. Join the fight, become part of the resistance. But then also if you type in Georgia Farmer into their search bar, it's all about, there's this long article that if you're like me and you can read through manipulation, it hurts your stomach to read. It's just a long article all about sob story manipulation, about how the farmers need the Communist Party because nobody else is gonna help them and nobody's gonna hear their needs the way that the Communist Party is going to. But then, out of that whole long propaganda article, there are 4 lines about bringing the Green New Deal to Georgia. So I remembered that, and then when I saw the TVA talking about it, I was like, hey, ding, 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 red alert. So I mentioned that at one of our first town hall meetings, just to say, keep your eyes out for anything like that, because I'm really curious to know, because I am definitely not a farmer, so I don't know what's going on there. All right, so I just received information, I had missed this, where in 2020, our sole commissioner, Lamar Perez, he's a member of many boards of many different things.
Tell me.
He is the first vice president of the TVA. So the TVA isn't just energy, they actually have political agendas. And I urge you to go onto your computer and type in TVA, Green New Deal, they are so proud. They are, let me just show you right here. They are so proud to be, okay, in fact, how proud are they? They just had a meeting last week where on their agenda, as they were having dinner, they announced their 2023 officer elections, had lunch at the Marriott, ATVG membership meeting, TVA update, energy system of the future. Okay? But that's like, okay, so that's just catchy wording, but then if you go and you actually look up TVA, Green New Deal, here's an article right now, atvg.org. Yeah, they're super excited about that and nuclear, I don't say that right. I can't find that, hold on, let me see, Control F. I think I might have closed that tab and I don't have the internet pulled up on this to be able to pull it up. But I urge you to go look for yourself because I was very surprised. Oh, here we go. Want a Green New Deal? Start by protecting the Tennessee Valley Authority.
Unbelievable.
Okay, our commissioner is vice president of this organization that is over many states. They, like the ACCG that I discovered when learning about the bonds over the oaths of office of our elected officials. The ACCG, from my understanding, the commissioners of Georgia all belong to the ACCG, but the ACCG also has political agendas, much like the TVA. So we think it's just this benign group that is just handling the electricity of all these regions, but they have political agendas and they're all matching up. So that's really important. Also, our commissioner was president of ACCG, just throwing that out there. So we need to pay really close attention and we need to start asking questions. And I'm being involved in the farming and agriculture. Will you ask your friends and see if there's anything going on that maybe you just didn't notice? Because from my experience, things like this happen in very sneaky ways. So I just wanted to alert everyone to that because holy moly, you guys, look at that, okay? Yeah, and then our federal government urging people to join Indivisible, all of these things are happening at the same time. So that's it, that's all I have. Yes?
What is the new green power?
Oh, the new Green Deal is what the social, that's that whole socialist.
Yeah, I know that, I mean, you said new power.
Oh,
Is it windmills, hydroelectric?
okay,
nuclear?
so, all right, so going through the article, let me see, how long is this? Because maybe I can, it's a little long, but I'll just read the beginning, let's see. They are talking about, okay, want a Green New Deal, start by protecting the Tennessee Valley Authority. Tennessee Valley Authority, what concerns me most is that in tandem is that the Communist Party is writing articles that reads almost exactly like this at the same time about the same place. Okay, the TVA is one of the New Deal's greatest achievements, a publicly owned utility with a large unionized workforce right in the heart of America, but now it's under threat. Supporters of the Green New Deal draw inspiration from, I don't wanna read this whole thing, let me just skim it. It's gonna be propaganda, it makes me gag. Let me just, generates electricity for 10 million people across 7 states. Most successful in advanced public fiber internet service. TEPCO, Alexandria, or Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and the Green New Deal. That's hers. Bernie Sanders and AOC. I mean, maybe I was biased and just didn't read this right.
Well, that whole Green New Deal thing, they passed it, right? I mean, they're funding trillions or billions, I don't know what letter of the illion it is, but it's already done. I mean, that was the goal.
Yeah,
And now that they're in there, they're spending that money on this stuff.
Well, the TVA started out by hydro, okay, but, damming up the river, okay, which was, a pretty good thing. That's how you got electricity up here. Then they realized that wasn't gonna be a real good idea. That was okay for when you had few people. Then they said, well, we're gonna start burning coal. So that's where they get most of their electric today, is from coal. And they're resisting the Green New Deal, from what I've understood, is they're fighting
Zero
nuclear,
emissions.
which is, you know, really the safest, now.
Yeah.
Way, I mean, it's zero pollution other than warm water, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's what this is saying. Eliminating carbon dioxide emissions in the production of US electricity is essential to achieving the federal government's goal of net zero carbon emissions. TVA provides electricity for 153 local power companies. Wait, hold on, there was something I missed there. Okay. Serving 10 million people in Tennessee and parts of 6 surrounding states, actively implementing a variety of new technologies, largest science and energy laboratory. I don't know what ORNL is, offers unique research, carbon-free electricity sector. Now see, this is the exact same thing that Communist Party website article is talking about. So to me, I just reject. I mean, I didn't even give it a chance, honestly. That's just me being honest. That's all I got.
So basically, technologies
Innovative
of the
nuclear.
future is just zero emissions.
Yeah, they're saying TVA is proud to partner with Oak Ridge National Laboratory to identify and scale innovative nuclear and other technologies that will create a cleaner, carbon-free future.
Our pollution problem doesn't even come from our country. The pollution problem comes from other countries.
Right, this is
And
all
they're
about
not
money.
gonna be a part of any of this. So the Green New Deal is nothing but a ruse because it's not going to solve the problem.
Talking about
They
money.
need to talk to China, they need to talk to all these other countries. That's the pollution problem.
India.
Right.
Okay,
Not
hold
the
on,
United
here's
States.
something. So they're talking about grid modernization, and then I don't see, this is spring 2020, the ATVG newsletter. They unveiled a $3 million pilot project. So that would be, announced industry-leading initiative to partner with communities in portions of the 7-state region and help provide equitable access to technology, resulting in job creation and energy and environmental justice. I become so jaded. Okay, TVA's Connected Communities will fund several proposed pilot projects that leverage cutting-edge technologies to address select challenges, including broadband access. Well, we just had that. We just got federal grant money for broadband activities here, right?
And like the TVA.
Yeah, it was over $1 million that got put towards some kind of broadband project here in Union County. That just happened a handful of months ago. Environmental risk monitoring, digital literacy training, and next generation career options. Community-driven data will be used to identify the gaps in populations without equitable access. Anytime I read the word gaps, it's like a tag word for, it's like a bridging the gap between this and that. So I don't know, I'm so, marketing words are used.
Buzzwords.
It's manipulation and I'm so anti them that even anytime I see that word, I'm like, okay, read that closer.
And everybody uses them at the same,
I have a very sweet cousin and she is really amazing. She does work with nonprofits and she's just got like a heart of gold, but she always uses that phrase and I never told her how it makes me feel. We're gonna bridge the gap between this and that, like, I don't like it. That's just, I'm weird. I've been reading through all this stuff for years and I'm just like gagging now at this point. Share more than $3 million in grant funding with TVA in 2022 and 2023. Basically, like I said, I didn't have a whole bunch on this. I just wanted to bring it up so that we can have our eyes open, okay? But since you all know more about this subject, go and type in, it's ATVG, Association of Tennessee Valley. Oh, that's Tennessee Valley Governments. Okay, so the TVA.
The Tennessee Valley Authority.
Which one did he just become? Okay. I feel like I got confused on that, so I need to look and see which one did he become vice president of. I'm thinking it was the Association of Tennessee Valley Government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one he was, yeah.
Okay.
How can you be on so many boards?
And still run the county better than anyone
how can
else?
you be an
elected official,
Plus you're a
and
crook.
then you're on all these boards with all these other things.
I don't understand that. Maybe I should ask that at the commissioner meeting.
That's a good question. He's on a lot of different boards of a lot of different things, and he's.
Is that legal?
Well, that's what they do in all these corporations. They just become members of every corporation.
Well,
The
so
same people are on there.
The whole thing's locked down that way. Well, so go look up Tennessee Valley Governments and Green New Deal and let me know what you think, because you have a lot more understanding of all of this stuff than I do. I just have an understanding of going do, that's something right there. So that's it. That's all I got. Does anyone else have any pressing issue that needs to be discussed tonight? As far as what's going on in the county?
Yeah, we gotta go home now.
Yeah, I gotta go. All right.
You
Well,
serve her breakfast?
well, thank you so much for attending.